Welcome back to the Men's Talk Show. This is Duran. I have my two co-hosts, Chris and Wayne here. All three of us together again. And today we're going to be doing like a Father's Day special episode where we talk about what it means to be, um, pretty much what it means to be a father and fatherhood itself. So, how you guys doing?
I'm great. Father's Day comes once a year. I didn't start hearing about it until I saw the Home Depot commercials last week. So.
It's one that we always forget about, right? Even for me as a dad, I'm like, wait, which day is it? But they switch it up. Some days it's the 18th, some days it's 19th. But I got some interesting history. When did it start? So let me see here. Father's Day first started back in 1910. It took more than 6 decades for it to become official. Actually, 58 years after Mother's Day became official. So it took a little bit of time before, Father's Day was recognized as a actual holiday, or
They
I guess it's
forgot.
a day we celebrate, not a holiday, but
You know why? Because there was no Home Depot back in 1910. So, that's all of our Mother's Day. You see the Mother's Day commercials like a month or so prior to Mother's Day. Father's Day, like you start seeing the Home Depot and Lowe's commercials and like Applebee's or something. Like that's it, right? Get your
really,
some tools, get him a grill so he can go out and make food. Like that's all we got. So
Yeah,
once
oh
home
yeah,
you don't
and
see
hunting
Father's Day
stuff,
advertised as much as you do as Mother's Day.
you should
hunting, fishing, and barbecue.
right.
That's it. And it's like they nailed them so good.
I'm willing to bet that when it became official is when Home Depot became a national chain. I
Right.
bet those dates correlate and they're like
Cut them
lobbying.
ribbons the same day.
Man, that's crazy. Like we love our mothers, but yeah, I'm glad we're talking about this because we need to show that fathers are there. Like we're here. We don't get all the limelight, and we don't. Most of us we don't want all the limelight. We go to work, we come home, we do what we gotta do to take care of our kids and our wives, and we're happy with that. As long as everybody's happy and they leave us alone for like 10 minutes of the day, we're all good.
Yeah, that's one thing, man. Fathers under celebrated. Absolutely, man. So if you got a good dad in your life, you make sure that you tell him thank you. Right? Just simple as that. You don't need to get him stuff. You don't need to buy him things. Just simply tell him thank you for being an amazing dad to me. And that is literally a really, really special thing to a dad. You don't have to spend. You don't have to buy things, man. My best gift I ever get from my kids is stuff they make me, like bracelets and stuff like that, man. That's like gold. That is gold to me. So yeah, we don't need barbecues. We don't need new lawnmowers. We don't need new rifles. We just need a little bit of gratitude, man. It goes a long way for sure.
And telling your father that you love him, goes a long way too. Because a lot of times, we tell our moms that we love them, but sometimes it's a little bit more awkward to say, "I love you, father." But they need love too. So
Yeah,
that's
absolutely, man. And that's dads too, man. Dads, you gotta tell your kids you love them a million times a day. Normalize it so they tell you a million times a day. You want that
Yeah,
in your
so
life, man, you gotta make it.
like you talked about with gifts and stuff, like me, like I really don't need anything. I have everything I want, right? Literally, like I'm good. Um, but yeah, like I don't need them to buy me anything. Like my grill's still good. It's about 5 years old, but it still works. All it needs to do is heat up and keep the heat. Like that's it's pretty simple. But yeah, just the acknowledgement, like, hey, I appreciate what you do for the kids, or the kids come up like Happy Father's Day, and maybe a little breakfast or something. But that's about it. I don't need all the glamour, and maybe that's why like Father's Day isn't so advertised heavy as Mother's Day, is because we don't need those material things, which is synonymous with Mother's Day.
bed and breakfast. Have your kids make you, something to eat. Do something for you, Wayne, because you're a hard working father. So I really hope that they do something special for you tomorrow. So you can feel like you appreciate it. I really, really want that.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they will. Chris, do you have your kids this weekend?
I get them tomorrow at 11.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Now you're gonna be happy about that.
yeah, I get them a little bit early. It'll be good. My daughter's she's got a surprise for me. She's been anxious about telling me about for a little while. She let it slip this morning that it's something she's been working on online. So some kind of a video or music or something. But I'm sure it's gonna be good because she knows how to get me right to the heartstrings. So
No
I'm sure
gifts
I'll
from the
cheer it up.
son?
What's that?
No gifts from the son?
I'm sure he'll give me something. He usually he draws me these little monsters. So I'm sure I'll get a monster tomorrow for sure. It's his go-to. It'll be a card with a monster on it. I'm almost guaranteed.
So, kind of switching gears a little bit, what does fatherhood mean to you guys?
So for me, it's just being there, knowing that they always have support, regardless of whatever they do, they always have the support from me. And when things get hard, I will be there to guide them. Now, my daughter knows, my daughter's a teenager now. I'm not going to show her how to do it, but I will guide her. Well, no, I'm not going to do it for her, but I'm going to be there as her guide and, just try to teach her to learn from my experiences. Uh, I've lived life so that you don't have to, right? So things are easier for you. You can learn from me. And, as a teenager, sometimes, she tries to go back against me. You got to learn the same way, too. But that's what it means to me. It's just knowing that they know that they always have me behind
That's good, man. That's beautiful, dude. I like that. That support structure. It's gotta be dad, man. That's so important, and it's so amazing to see dads who really plug into that, man. So I appreciate you, Wayne, and I appreciate everything you do for your family, man. Because I see you, I do, and you are a hardworking father, man.
Yeah, we see you. We see you, Wayne. It doesn't go unappreciated.
them. Thanks. But yeah, same to you, Chris. I mean, you're always there for your kids too.
I try, man. I try. They don't make it easy some days, right? They don't make it easy on us, but that's the job. That's what we signed up for, man. It's as much as tough as it is. So I guess for me, fatherhood is my purpose in life. That's what I'm here for. Um, really sad story, but it's my story, so I'm gonna tell it, and today's my chance. So I'm gonna say it. When I was 10, I was dumped in a group home by my mother, and those feelings that I had led me to suicide when I tried to unalive myself, and that didn't work. And when it didn't work, and when I woke up, I realized that there was a reason that I didn't die. There was a reason why I was left on this earth. I had a purpose. And my whole life, I was so confused about what that purpose was. Like, just angry. Like, why didn't it work? Why wasn't I allowed to leave this place? And then I had my son when I was 17. And it was the most painful, traumatic, ridiculous situation ever. But when that boy came out, I think I mentioned this story to you guys before. He grabbed my finger and he squeezed it so hard that it was like you could never imagine that kind of power coming from an infant. Like literally 5 hours old and almost broke my finger from the strength, right? So like, hang on, this is gonna be a tough ride. And then now with my two youngest kids, 11 and 8, we have such a beautiful life, and I am there to live that with them. And every day when we go out and hang out and we go and pick worms out of the garden, and we're in the woods looking for moss and finding bugs and chasing butterflies, like that is my entire purpose for living. That is why I am here, is to be their rock, their structure, like Wayne was saying, to be there for them always, to always have somebody to confide in when things get really fucking tough and you got nobody else to turn to. You need a dad. And that's what I am here for, is to be that for my children with confidence and with strength every time that they show up, and like with tears falling from their eyes and the stress just blowing off of their heads. That's what I want to be. So that's my purpose.
And while I may not be a father of the other two, I can still chime in a little bit about what fatherhood means. You know, just based on, having my experiences from my father. I think just being a father is, it is a tough job. And I really respect you guys for, still being around your kids, even though it might be some days where you just want to, you know, you feel angry and you feel, sometimes, you want to just make sure that basically what fatherhood just means is understanding that, days is going to be tough and you may not want to do anything, but I think fatherhood just means that you can be able to be there for your kids. They can then talk to them, give them life advice, show up for them, let them know some days, I'm probably feeling tired and I'm probably feeling exhausted, be honest and vulnerable with them. And they will still love you for that, hopefully. But that's a little bit advice about what kind of fatherhood, means to a certain degree. Um,
I like
Yeah, I will also say, for me is I wouldn't say it's easy, but I would say it's easier because I'm with my kids every day. I don't know what it's like to not be with my kids. So Chris, I would definitely applaud to you because, every day I go home, no matter how I feel, they're there. And the best thing to see at night is when my son, who's the wild one, when he's sleeping and I see him there. And that's when I can go and kiss him every single night. And that sometimes I think about that sometimes. I do think about you. I'm like, man, like I don't take this for granted because there's so many guys that we've seen in our Discord and in our TikTok that are going through child custody or and child support issues and all those things like that. And there's so many men who are going through that, and Father's Day is probably a tough time for them. So for all you guys who follow us and out there, and Chris, you too, it's like thank you guys for still trying to be there when you have somebody who may not be as forthcoming with the support and trying to be a co-parent. So I definitely applaud you guys as well.
that's why you
thank you.
still have custody of your kids, Chris, because the judge see right through that. They can see honesty and they can see how hard of a worker you are and you try to support and sacrifice for your kid. So don't you ever forget that, Chris, okay?
Well, I try my hardest, man. I really do. I self-care and appreciating myself and what I've done for those kids is a tough one for me, but it's something that I pride myself on doing every day. It's just patting myself on the back for being there because it is not easy, man. And not being there for them on the weeks when they're not around is really fucking hard. It sucks. It's probably the toughest thing that I'll have to deal with, and I have to deal with it for the next 18 years, no matter what. Unless I want to take them from mom, and I don't want to do that. But 50-50 is all I get. Which sucks, man. It sucks so much. Like, I can't tell you the pain and the heartbreak of losing them every single week. It's the same. It's just like losing them. There's no difference to me. There's no. In my mind, I'm losing my kids every Sunday. Every Sunday, I drop them off and then I come home and there's nobody here. It sucks.
So so school's out in states. I don't know when Canada the school year ends, but during the summer, do you get extended visits with them? Like they stay with you longer?
No, I tried for that. It was no, no. I would love to. I would love to. I'd like to go like at least 2 weeks, go 2 week visit, 2 week visit, just to help the kids like be able to relax and just enjoy themselves at a house. Both my kids are getting to an age where they're like starting to get independent enough to stay home alone. So this summer it's kind of like preparing them to do that for next summer. So I'm gonna like teaching my kids how to ride the bus. Like, you guys have heard me taking the bus with them a few times just to help prepare them and mentally get ready for that. Next year, my daughter's in grade 7, so she's got to get herself to school. That's like one of the requirements of junior high in Canada is you get yourself to school. Doesn't matter where you are in the city, you have to, figure it out and get there on your own. There's no school bus, so it's like a throw them to the wolves kind of scenario, which is scary because if you notice the kids in our country and the way that they raise kids in schools, man, they're not preparing them for real life at all. So like hopefully some of the parents out there are, because yeah, that was a bit of an eye opener. Seeing a bunch of jaws drop in the school, a bunch of the Karens, and oh my God, I have to put my little Billy on the bus in the city? That's crazy.
That's great
Yeah,
though,
it's life. It's real life.
because
And you cannot cater to your children their entire life. You can't.
I mean, like, think about when I was, so I looked this up late last year. When I was in 6th grade, I had to walk like 1.2 miles to school and the same back every single day, right? So when I left for school, my dad was already at work. And when I came home, my dad was still at work, right? And then you knew the rules, like you can make peanut butter jelly, you can make cereal, don't go outside, don't open the door for nobody, right? Do your homework, clean up. And that's the same thing. Like we had to find our way to school. And that's it. It's, and that's the thing. Like the people of us that grew up, who were born in the '80s and who and grew up in the '90s and the early 2000s, we had to figure stuff out, right? Everything wasn't given to us. We had to figure things out, and that's what a lot of kids these days are missing out. So I mean, I think that's really good that she has to find her way, and just figure it out.
Yeah, so switching gears a little bit here again. How is like the parenting styles different from when you grew up, guys? To what you do with your kids?
Oh Jesus. That's a good one. Parenting. They didn't parent. We weren't parented. We weren't raised. We were left in a field to grow like fucking mushrooms, man. There was no parenting, dude. We
As
were
long as
like,
you came back before the street lights came on, that was it.
yeah,
They didn't know
like
where you went.
literally. People wonder why we're so hard. Yeah, guess what? It's because we scraped our knees and we jumped fences and we got hung up on barbed wire and like that was our lives, man. That was how we were living. These kids
Like a
nowadays
like
don't
a
clue
pack of
what it was
wolves. That's
like.
what we were. It was like a pack of kids, and we were always together, right? You weren't by yourself outside. You always had like four, five, six kids that you were with, and all you guys did things together. And if one fell down or got hurt, the other ones pick them up. And if you did something, everybody got in trouble because we all did something, or like y'all found like a bag of chips and y'all eating it, and could we missed lunch, like. It was great growing up back then. I try to instill some of that in my kids, like give them freedom. Like my daughter's 13. She just got a cell phone this last week, and the reason why I got it is because school's out now, and it's the summertime, and we live in a pretty good neighborhood to where like I allow her to go out, ride her bike, go to a friend's house, um, go to the mall with her friends and things like that, and kind of live the life I used to live. And it's scary at times. Like I can pull up her location at any moment, but yeah, you gotta let kids live so they have those experiences. My biggest fear as a father of a girl is she goes to college and becomes the college slut, right? So I want to make sure she has experiences and it's not like catered in the house and then goes buck wild when she finally gets out.
Yeah, yeah, man. You cannot keep them contained and you know. I always tell my kids, man, go out there and do unsafe things safely. Like go do dangerous things safely. Go have fun. Go fucking jump over the, creek and fall in and get your foot wet and come home with one wet foot and fucking full of mud. Like go and do those things. That's life, man. That's literally how you learn stuff. It's That's why our generation is so capable to deal with adversities, because we were out there scuffing our knees and rolling down hills. Like, I don't know how many hills you guys rolled down when you were kids, but that was like one of our fucking favorite things. Like the biggest, gnarliest hill you could find. Me and my friends were like, let's run to the top of that, roll down at top speed. Like that was that's
Yeah,
just
kids
right.
don't know how to have fun today. Like
Yeah,
they don't know
man.
what it means to cram in a tree, chase squirrels. Like they don't know how to, create their own fun. I think that some of them kind of spoiled in a way. To buy me this, buy me that, You got to learn how to create your own fun in life. But
Yeah. So like, let me tell you this quick story. So when I was a kid in the summer times, I used to go out to the country, and that's where I would spend my summers with my grandmother in a small, tiny town with a bunch of relatives around. And my one cousin had a blackberry tree, this huge blackberry tree in his backyard. And so, like, pretty much every day, it would seem like every day, me and my cousin would climb the trees. And, my aunt was like, don't climb those trees and get those berries. You're gonna eat too many and have diarrhea. We would still go up there, climb those trees, and get blackberries and just that would be our lunch. We'd just be up there just eating berries. And it seemed like this tree like never ran out of berries for us to eat. But we just kept going higher and higher. So fast forward, I don't know, 20 years later or whatever, more than 20 years, 25 years later, I have a blackberry tree in my house, in my backyard. I just realized that literally like a few weeks ago. And so I went and I took my daughter and we went up and picked blackberries together. And it was really nice to share that experience with her, you know?
Yo, that's such a special memory, man. I love that. Thank you for sharing that with us, man. I do things from my childhood with my kids too, man. I think that's like part of being a dad. It's important to like show them what you did when you were a kid, you know? Like we got this park near in my city called Edworthy Park, and we go there all the time. But I take pictures of my kids in the same place every year. So I've got progressive pictures from when they were like 3 in the same spot in this forest. And they sit on the same log every year, and the log's like slowly creeping, and like it used to be up like this, and now it's like down like this. And um, I have a dad too who died when I was a kid. But when we take a picture of the kids, every single time there's a fucking ray of light coming from this spot in the forest. It's like my dad's being there with the kids at the time, like showing me and being there with me, experiencing a memory that he shared with me when he was a kid, and now I'm sharing it with my kids. And it's just such a nostalgic feeling and such a cool feeling. There's this like old abandoned car that had rolled off somebody's property down the hill, and it's like stuck in this fucking ravine down there. But I took my kids to show them that like years and years and years ago, and we were down there with family friend of ours and their kids, and we were wandering through the woods, and my kids are like, "Don't check out this old abandoned car, like the people are still dead inside." Like it was so cool to
Oh,
watch
that's
them
great.
share that memory with somebody else, man. It was pretty special.
is there is there anything that you want your kids to learn differently from what you used to do? Any challenges or things you think they will want to kind of know about so they don't make the same mistakes that you maybe did when you was a kid? Or you're just kind of like let them go and they'll learn as they grow up.
Well, I mean, I would say like I said earlier, I want them to learn from my experiences. So the things that I did wrong, because I've done a lot wrong, I definitely don't want them to make the same mistakes. So whether it's learning how to cut watermelon or cut meat without cutting your finger, right? It could be as simple as that, or like don't mix money and friends, right? Because I did that when I was a young adult, and that didn't work out so well, because people take advantage of you. So things like that, which I try to talk about, like now, like my daughter wants to start this little business with her friends making bracelets and things like that. I was like, that's great, but that's what I said. You should all you guys sit down together, write a little contract just to say like this is what this is and this is what this is, and tell her how, and I explained to her how money can find its way into a friendship and really destroy everything. And so I said, you want to make sure that that doesn't happen to your friends because these are some really good friends that you have right now, and you don't want to ruin that friendship over something silly like where you guys are arguing over $20, you know? So, which $20 is a lot to them, right? But yeah, so things like that.
Yeah, money is temporary. Friendships can be lifetime, right? It's
But we
one
ruin friendships over money. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? So like don't ruin a lifetime thing over something temporary. Right? I try so hard not to ask friends for money because life, my especially my life can happen, man, and all of a sudden I'm in a totally different circumstance and I'm not able to pay the money back. It's happened to me multiple times in my life and I've lost really good friends over that. And I hate that, you know, so it's definitely a lesson I'm teaching my kids. I think for me, number one lesson I'm teaching my kids is love yourself, no matter who else is loving you. And that's something I'm instilling in them every day that's so important to just like care about yourself and have the mental fortitude to love yourself more than any situation that's going on at the time. Like that's such a powerful thing. And my daughter, dude, this little 11-year-old, it's literally the most powerful little girl I've ever seen. She's got so many superpowers. She's gonna either run the country or, you know, help change the world one day. Like she just exudes so much confidence and so much self, not like selfishness, but just self. She loves herself so much and she appreciates who she is as a person. And I fucking adore that about her. Like she is such a wonder of like just she does not give a shit about other people's opinions. Like she's in grade 6, so everybody's all like fancy clothes and name brand this and technology and blah. And she's just like, whatever, man. Don't care. I'm just like chill, me and my brother, like my baggy clothes. She wears like some of the baggiest clothes I've ever seen a little girl wear in my entire life. That's just her. She's comfortable.
Hey, that's
Even
early
notice,
2000s hip hop.
right? Yeah, like literally, dude. Like J Lo, Jenny from the block, man. I swear to God, it's my daughter. Like 100%. Like little pretty little white girl, just like they're so gangster, man. But like to the point where I didn't even realize she was going through puberty. Like the other day, we went swimming. I'm like, wait, whoa, what happened? This is new for me. We gotta talk a little bit more. You gotta like communication is important, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm going through that same thing right now. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that that is important, self-love to really love, yourself like your daughter, because a lot of times when they don't love themselves, they seek the wrong validation from, as they grow up and, start to date. They start to date, just types of men because they didn't get the love that they needed from their father or they didn't get the love that they needed from themselves. So they kind of go off on the deep end. But I'm glad
For
that
sure.
have the values instilled into your daughter, Chris. That makes that
Well,
that's gonna make a difference for her.
for sure. My son also, man. I'm treating him to like respect himself and respect his boundaries as a man. You know what I mean? So absolutely, man. Absolutely.
But yeah, I would do the same thing. I'm glad you brought that up. Is the emotional regulate self emotion and love yourself, things like that. Because like you said, teenage daughter and you know all those things that come with school and you just try to make sure like she's because girls they want to be liked, they want to be pretty and things like that. And I try to make sure she's pretty with herself and she's starting to experiment with makeup. And I'm always like, you don't need that. I know she's still gonna wear it, but I want her to know that her father said, "You're a pretty without makeup. You don't need that."
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure, man. That self-appreciation and pride in yourself is such an important thing to instill in your kids. I'm trying to teach my kids like to care for their space, which is a tough one. Like they're getting the whole self-hygiene and stuff like that, but to like clean their rooms and take pride in just having a clean space for them to live in, they're like constantly fighting me about it. I'm like, this is your area. And then when they clean the rooms, they're like, man, I feel so much better when I'm in here. And I'm like, write that down, please, and
Right?
put it on the wall.
Yeah.
And kids today, with their social media, it's like I see a lot of kids seeking validation from the wrong people. So just knowing that you instilled those values into your kids, I think that that's going to go a long way. So they'll have that self-worth and they'll know that a like doesn't mean that they're actually, if they don't get a like, means doesn't mean that they're not necessarily likable. You know what I mean? So just social media, it can ruin some of these kids out here, but I'm glad that you guys have strong kids and willing to instill your values into them. But we want to get into actually a video that was sent to one of my good friends, KT Brown. He's an author and he has two kids. He has one baby girl. So if you guys don't mind, you we can show the video now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd
go
be
ahead.
awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. But basically, what fatherhood means to me, it means everything, you know. Just having two beautiful babies, providing, building a legacy, starting a legacy, you know. Being a father means everything. It just changes your life, you know. Just having two little ones and the spinning image of you, spinning image the mother of your children. You know, it's a game changer and it's a blessing. So that's pretty much what fatherhood means to me.
Yeah, I like how he talked about legacy. Just real quick, I know we're getting close on time, but like I look back now and I want my great great grandchildren to look back and be like, he's the one that changed the path for our family to where we're at today. And that's why I work so hard. And that's why my wife works so hard too. Um, but it's a Father's Day special. So it's about me. No, but but that's that's legacy is a big thing. And I didn't realize that when I was younger with the whole building generational wealth and things like that. But that's what I'm working towards and make sure my kids don't have student loan debt and make sure they learn from my experiences and they're going to be. I saw one thing on TikTok earlier this week and said, if you have a good father, your father is the only man in the world who is happier when you surpass him. Think about that for a second. Like any other guy you see, or you friend or whatever, and he passes you, or whatever, there's some type of envy in that. But when your son passes you, right, that's when you're like, you're so proud. And that's what I want for my kids.
That's a good point, man. I had a group, like a meetup group that we go to every week. But one of the guys in there mentioned something about how grateful he was that his dad had the confidence to break the chains, like break them barriers that his family created for him. You know what I mean? Like, and then he talked about his grandfather and how his dad changed from where his grandfather was and how his dad is now different. And I can just imagine what his great grandfather was like, and he made a commitment during the group that he's like, on Father's Day this year, that's what I'm gonna do for my dad, is I'm gonna tell him that I'm grateful for those generational curses that he's been breaking for us. And I said, dude, that is such a powerful gift that you can give your dad.
Absolutely.
Man, if as a father to hear something like that, like, Dad, I know the kind of things that you dealt with when you were a kid because you told me about that, man. The fact that I've never had to even see those things, deal with those things even a little bit, is such a powerful thing. And I thank you so much for that. That would be like greatest gift ever. I was like, man, you write that on a card with just a little, heart at the end of it. I was like, you win Father's Day every year, bro.
Yeah, and I appreciate my friend bringing up about legacy because you don't want your kids to struggle like you did. But I mean, you also want them to be able to bump their head and get a little, you know, get a little bit of knife knowledge from the mistakes that they learn. But as a father, I think you don't want your kids to struggle like you did when you was younger, or if you had any financial problems with growing up. So I appreciate the fact that he brought up legacy. I think that's really important because you want to leave back. You want to leave as much as you can to your kids. So they can build off that foundation from which you had to work hard for.
Yeah, I think that was. I'm really glad you shared that video because, we talked about a lot of things, but we kind of missed on that part. And like I said, legacy and leaving stuff for our kids is a huge part. And I think that's a great way uh, to wrap up the show.
All right. Yeah, we're coming up on time here. Again, I want to thank Chris and Wayne for sharing your experiences of what fatherhood means to you. I want to thank KT Brown, my good friend, an author, and he is a father of two kids, for sharing that video with us today. We really appreciate you, KT. Shout out to him. He also has a TikTok that I'm gonna post in the YouTube description video. But other than that, I want to kind of close the show with just your final thoughts about anything that we didn't touch on today, or we pretty much cover everything.
I think for me, I would like to say to any dads who are estranged, separated, or have lost their children, happy Father's Day, brother. I love you. And I appreciate everything you've done for your kids.
Yeah, I also want to say that, happy Father's Day wherever you're at with your relationship with your father. Just pray about it and, you know, thank God he birthed you because it takes two to tango. And, whatever you're going through, I'm not going to mitigate your problems or whatever you had when you was younger with them, whoever this video goes out to, but just try to understand from his perspective of, that, whatever he was going through with his father or whatever, kind of influence how he raised you, and try to understand it from that perspective. But other than that, happy Father's Day. I'll leave it to you, Wayne.
Yeah, just happy Father's Day to my dad and you, Chris, and to all the guys out there.
All right.
Happy Father's Day, everybody. Peace.
Take care.